bless Texas. Yeah. Amen. God bless Texas. Thank you for that, Patrick. Good music, good lead in. When they told me to come in, I said, which way do you want me to go? And they said, you just have to turn to the left. I said, I don't go left well at all. Listen, it is a big honor to be asked to come and speak. And I just want to say thank you to those of you that allowed me to come and for all the bad things that I say about Washington. I never mind coming here. This is just a fabulous place to come. And when we got here, I actually was a little surprised to step off our little United flight and see that everybody was still here. That, you know, from what I've been reading about the sequestration, I figured President Obama had probably shut the place down and sent everybody home. Actually, that would probably be the first good idea he has had. When you think about it, I'm kind of just kidding. Well, mostly not kidding. You know, I come from what a lot of people might seem to think is a foreign country. We have a balanced budget. We have a surplus. We are creating more jobs than any other state in the union. And we're doing this with a part-time legislature that meets for only 140 days every other year. So our legislators, they come in, they pass laws, and then they go home and live under the laws that they've just passed. So, you know, so I got to ask, if we had a part-time Congress in Washington, would they really get less done? Huh? What we are getting is a lot of hysteria. We're getting a lot of hysteria right now from a president election and saving programs like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security for the next generation. Right now, President Obama is campaigning full time against the sequester that he created. He has used school teachers and Border Patrol agents, airport security, and Capitol janitors as part of his portrait of pain. Now he's decided to shut down White House tours. Apparently, now the only folks who can get a tour of the White House are those that contribute $500,000 or more. This president's posture, it'd be laughable if he hadn't taken it one step too far, dangerously releasing criminals onto our streets to make a political point. When you have a federally sponsored jailbreak, and don't get confused, that's exactly what this is, a federally sponsored jailbreak. You cross the line from politics as spin to politics as a craven form of cynicism, where everything goes in order to win the next election. But here is my concern. If the president can't handle $85 billion in cuts that he suggested, how can we ever believe that he will tackle trillion-dollar deficits, unfunded entitlement obligations that amount to trillions of dollars more? Our deficit is approximately equal to our GDP. I mean, every dollar we spend, 40 cents is borrowed from some bank in a place like China. The resolution to this debt ceiling debacle led to the first downgrading of American credit in the history of this country. And we have a president who refuses to put a single plan on paper that seriously addresses the deficit spending, entitlement reform. Those are inexplicable. But he's more than willing to do a photo op with first responders and teachers to decry the spending reductions that amount to less than 1% of the total annual budget. If the president is worried about overtime pay for Capitol janitors. I say, what about the stagnant wages of millions of American workers? What about the 1 in 7 Americans resigned to food stamps? What about small businesses and homeowners that loans because Dodd-Frank has frozen credit for Americans all across this country? What about the more than 20 million Americans who can't get full-time work due to the most anemic recovery since the Great Depression? Mr. President, your plans to tax and spend our nation to prosperity will fail as spectacularly as the economics you have borrowed from John Maynard Keynes. Now, let us be clear about what is the crux of the debate in Washington. It is whether Americans will surrender to the creation of a massive welfare state in the image of Western Europe. Now, my quarrel is not with the legitimate role of government, but the unlimited role of government. Investments in research and defense capabilities and infrastructure and border security are vital American issues and issues that Washington needs to address. But we have turned the Constitution on its head, and the federal government has inserted itself into every aspect of American society. And instead of allowing states to become laboratories of reform, Washington's central planners are co-opting the responsibilities reserved to the states and individuals under the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution. See, a federal policy of fiscal coercion is now at the heart of the debates of Medicaid expansion proposed under Obamacare. And unfortunately, and the conservative movement have folded in the face of federal bribery and mounting pressure from special interest groups. They tell us to take the money. In the case of Texas, $4 billion, because it's free. But there is nothing free. There's nothing free that comes from Washington. Because for starters, it's our money. This is our money, or at least money that we've tacked on to the national debt either by borrowing from China or by pulling it right off the printing presses. Secondly, nothing stops Washington from changing the rules down the road and increasing the state share, which in the case of Texas will be up to more than $18 billion over 10 years. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money even for the 14th largest economy in the world. All we have is a promise. All we have is a promise from a federal government that apparently can't afford to keep dangerous criminals behind bars. It's as if the merits of the expenditure don't matter anymore. But I say they do. I say Medicaid doesn't need to be expanded. It needs to be saved and reformed. We care about our poorest Texans. We want them to have the best care possible. And that cannot happen with a program that is on its way to bankruptcy. If you don't believe me that Medicaid is broken, just ask our president. 4 years ago, he said, and I quote, "We can't simply put more people into a broken system that doesn't work," end quote. And yet that's exactly what he's doing or trying to do in Texas. No program has grown more in the last 15 years at the state level than Medicaid. Washington's solution is to grow it even faster. Regardless of the Medicaid program is unsustainable. Here is what we need. Instead of this one-size-fits-all Medicaid expansion under Obamacare, flexibility to innovate, to enact patient-centered, market-driven reforms, state accountability requirements, combined with limits on federal overreach. We need a Medicaid program that emphasizes personal responsibility with copays on a sliding scale, deductibles and premium payments for emergency room care, small contributions so patients take ownership over their utilization of care. We need to asset test to ensure care is there for those who really need it most. We need the ability to offer Medicaid clients health savings accounts, giving patients more control over health care spending. Nothing about the Medicaid expansion should move citizens from existing private coverage and employer-sponsored coverage to the public rolls. Nothing should do that. If anything, Medicaid dollars should be used to keep people on private insurance. And the best way to help states provide health care is to allow states to design better, more efficient, more effective care using Medicaid dollars. This will allow each state to tailor the program to specifically serve the needs of those unique challenges that those states have. We know more about and care more about the physical health and economic health of our citizens than the federal government does. Give states like Texas the flexibility to actually fix Medicaid and to create more cost-efficient health care for our families, our neighbors, for our health care providers. You know, absent those changes and needed flexibility, the Medicaid expansion amounts to one large incremental step towards single-payer socialized medicine. That's where we're headed. And I, for one, will not accept that as long as I am the governor of the state of Texas. You know, there are some who say my position is ideological, but that's only true to the extent that being able to pay one's in the years ahead is ideological. You see, Washington doesn't worry about how to pay bills. They just charge it to our grandchildren's account. But in Texas, our Constitution requires a balanced budget. It just so happens that balanced budgets and one of the lowest tax and spending burdens in the nation corresponds with our #1 ranking when it comes to job creation. We're leading the way in job creation in all categories, on all salary levels, from entry level to the executive suite. The difference in Texas comes back to the crux of the issue. I mentioned earlier, I said, we don't believe in growing government to grow the economy. We don't believe in a massive expansion of government as a source of economic stimulation. We believe in putting more money in the hands of entrepreneurs and families. We believe low-wage jobs shouldn't be looked upon if they're a stepping stone to a higher wage job. We believe the best source of revenue for public priorities is job creation, not higher taxation. You know, if Washington were really serious about job creation, it wouldn't pour hundreds of billions of dollars into so-called stimulus. It'd reduce the red tape on energy exploration on federal lands and waters. The single fastest way to boost our economy and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars is to unleash the energy exploration across America. Shale formations offer America the cheapest natural gas in the world, and natural gas is clean. Why would this administration delay energy solutions on this continent only to make us more reliant on energy produced in foreign lands? The administration's policy of benign neglect, foot dragging on Keystone, its blocking of coastal exploration, It's intrusive regulations imposed by the EPA and these other like-minded federal agencies. What that means is that America is at the mercy of Middle East mullahs and South American dictators. Common sense tells us it is time to drill for American energy to create American jobs and American prosperity. It is time for us to have a Western hemispheric energy strategy. And my approach is pretty simple. Make what Americans buy. Buy what Americans make and sell it to the world. That's what we need to be doing in this country. Let me close by just sharing with you my take on America. Now, the popular media narrative is that this country has shifted away from conservative ideals, as evidenced by the last 2 presidential elections. That's what they think. That's what they say. That might be true if Republicans had actually nominated conservative in 2008 and 2012. Might be true. But now we're told our party must shift appeal to the growing Hispanic demographic. Let me say something about what appeals to Hispanics in states like Texas. It is the free enterprise agenda that allows small businesses to prosper, free of government interference. It's the policies that value the family unit as the best and closest form of government. It's the belief in life and the faith in God. No one who risks life and limb to reach our shores comes here hoping for a government handout. They want opportunity, they want freedom, and they want a better shot at providing for their families. And that is true whether they are first-generation Americans or, like a lot of Hispanics in Texas, families living here a long time before Davy Crockett and James Bowie and Sam Houston made their way south. My friends, this is what we as conservatives stand for. We're not the people of equal outcomes, of quotas, of race-based appeals, or the cradle-to-the-grave nanny state. We're the people who say everyone deserves a shot. But success is only the product of hard work and innovation. We're the ideology that is blind to color and solely grounded in the merit system. We are compassionate without being cynical. Government can be a tool to self-improvement and self-empowerment, not self-entrapment. These ideals are as old as America, and they will live on as the prevailing sentiment long after we're gone, because they're what make America unique. We will never bend to the social and economic agenda of Western Europe. Yes, it's an interesting place to vacation, but it is a sorry example of governance. We will continue to pursue a uniquely American vision, steeped in liberty, personal responsibility, and individuality. God bless you, and through you may God continue to bless this great country that we live in. Thank you.